Alright, so I decided to do a video on replacing the charging port on a Samsung Galaxy S4. I think it's going to be pretty simple. I just pop the back off. There are a few areas where I had to remove some screws. Keep in mind they're super tiny. I use a fridge magnet to keep them all in place so that I don't lose them, so they don't get scattered. So I remove those screws and this piece just pops off to reveal the charging port, and the ribbon cable for that's going to run up this side here, so I'm going to have to remove the rest of this back. Got a few screws in various places to remove so that I can expose the ribbon cable, disconnect it, and put the new charging port in. Okay, so I've taken all the screws out. You can see them on the fridge magnet. You had various screws up here. Then there were some screws that I took out for the cover of the charging port. And this frame is just gonna unclip all the way around. And you just gently pry it up, and you can see how I've started popping it loose. So you can just gently pry it up so that we can get this frame off, and then you'll see that it's going to expose that charging port so that I can disconnect the ribbon cable up here, and then I can take that out and put the new one in. And there's the new one, probably a couple dollars on eBay, pretty cheap. So pretty easy fix if you have one of these and have a problem with it charging. So we're going to remove this frame and get the old charging port out of there. Okay, so I've taken this back plate off, and you basically just carefully, it pops off, just carefully go around, popping it off, and it comes off pretty easily. This is going to be a pretty easy repair. So you'll see the charging port assembly here, the ribbon cable that runs up the side here, and it plugs in right here. The ribbon cable just plugs in. So it's really now just unplugging that, taking this off, taking that out, and putting the new one in. So it's pretty simple. And this thing, it's pretty tiny, but these things just pop off. They just unplug, so just gotta be careful because they're pretty small. And I'm not gonna be able to get it with my big fat fingers. But let's see if I can. Yeah, I might not be able to do it that way either. But we're just gonna unplug this and then take this out and then remove that. So always be careful because there's a lot of small components that can be damaged. But pretty simple. Okay, so one thing I didn't notice before is that this smaller ribbon cable that plugs in here is actually plugs into the ribbon cable that we're going to be disconnecting. So I just disconnected that, and the ribbon cable for the charging port has a adhesive backing, so you just got to easily pry that up, as you can see what I'm doing there. So I'll pry that up so that I can get this loose and be able to disconnect that. And you'll see on the new charging port ribbon cable, that's where the other ribbon cable will plug into there, and then this will plug into the phone here. So I'm gonna take that out. Now when doing this, also keep in mind that you have two wires, one here and one here, and they just unplug. So that's not a big deal. I just unplug them and get those out of the way, and then we can take this thing apart. So I just unplugged that one, as you can see, and that one's unplugged as well. So I should be able to pop this piece out and get ready to put the new one in. Okay, so now that I have disconnected the two cables here, I'm going to pop this little clip off where the actual port is. We'll reuse that when we put the new one in. And then it's really just gently prying this thing up and removing it and putting the new one in now. So I'm gently just prying this up, and you'll see if you look at the new one, it has this film on it that you'll take off, and that has adhesive there, so that's what keeps it in place there. So you just got to pry this up to get it loose from the phone, because it has adhesive on it. So I'll finish pulling this out. And I believe this is for your home button, so you want to be careful. That goes up underneath the charging port. So just want to be careful with that so that you don't damage the home button when you're taking this old one out. Alright, so I've got the old charging port free, and I've pulled that off. So now the next step, I'm going to pull the white tabs off of this new one, and it's going to reveal the adhesive on the back so that it'll stick down to where I'm putting it. And just got to be careful and put that in place. So I'll do that next, and we can start putting everything back together. Okay, so I peeled back the white tabs, and I gently placed the new charging port in here and pushed it down a little bit just to get the adhesive to stick in place. Plugged up these two wires here, and now I just need to connect the home button here, and then connect this one here. So now that we got everything plugged in, connected, we'll go ahead and put it back together and see how she works. Okay, so I've snapped the frame, the back housing back on. Really simple. Put the little clip on for the charging port, and I'll put this back piece back on, put the screws in, and put the battery and the cover back on, and plug it in. She should work. So now the moment of truth, and it is charging. It's plugged in. Success. Okay, so I've let it charge for a few minutes, and we're at 29% now. So I would say that's a success. It's working great.